lesson we discussed about Draupadi's Swayamvar. So, who was the brother of Draupadi? Drishtadyumna. Yes. So, what was the condition of Draupadi's Swayamvar? To to pierce the fish eye by using the bow and arrow, looking at the reflection in the water of the pond below. Yes. So now, after Draupadi garlanded Arjun, the Pandavas took Draupadi home. And what was Kunti's words which the Pandavas could not go against? To share among themselves whatever they had brought. And then Draupadi had to accept the 5 Pandavas as her husbands. Now, after reaching Hastinapur, there was a question mark, a dilemma. Now, when Kunti and the Pandavas had gone to Varnavat, and this accident that had burnt the palace and all that, what had happened. Here, Hastinapur was without a prince, crown prince. So, Dhritarashtra had crowned Duryodhana as the new crown prince of Hastinapur. Now, when Yudhishthira returned back to Hastinapur, what was the question? Who is now going to become the king? It was actually Duryodhana to step down from that place, because that place was already for Yudhishthira. But here, what had Duryodhana done? He refused to step down and saying, I cannot step down from that place. It is not my fault. So I will not step down. So now, with that, and to avoid any further controversies, it was decided to divide Hastinapur into 2 parts. And the part which the Pandavas got was Khandavprastha. Now, Khandavprastha used to be part of Hastinapur, but long time ago it was occupied, that side of Hastinapur. But then Khandavprastha became a dense forest where it was the home of bandits and demons and all that, robbers, you can say, thieves, and even demons. They came to stay in Khandavprastha. Now, Yudhishthira was crowned the king of Khandavprastha and told to proceed to Khandavprastha. Now, when the Pandavas went there, accompanied by Krishna and Balram, they went with him. They went with the Pandavas there. What they saw was a dense forest, nothing else. So that time, Lord Krishna told Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, the other 4 brothers, that this is your place now. You will have to work hard and bring it up. So what did the Pandavas do? They cleared the forest. Okay, they cleared the forest first by setting fire. Arjun used his bow and arrow to burn down the palace. Once the forest was burnt down, Arjun used his bow and arrow to bring the rains to that place. And then, Balram, he carries a plow in his hand here. That's something like a T. That's called a plow. The Pandavas used that plow to till the land of Khandavprastha and make it a very nice place. Okay. Now, from that forest, they had captured Maya, who was the architect of demons. They had captured him. So Lord Krishna advised the Pandavas that they use him. So Maya was given a choice. For his freedom, they told Maya to create a beautiful city. And Maya created a beautiful city full of illusion. It was so beautiful. Even thinking about it, you will start wondering, does this place really exist? But yes, the Pandavas had worked very hard to bring that place up. And then that time, what had happened was this khandavprastha was transformed into a beautiful city, a beautiful place, and it was renamed Indraprastha. It was renamed Indraprastha. So Khandavprastha became Indraprastha, and this was now the Karma Bhumi, you can say, for the 5 Pandavas. Okay, they were very happy over there, ruling, and because of Yudhishthir's, you can say Yudhishthir, yeah, he was a very great king, because of his truthfulness and also just. So people who came to do business in Indraprastha decided to stay there. So the boundaries of Indraprastha began extending, becoming big. Far and wide it became famous. People came and started living in Indraprastha. Things were very good. Then Krishna told Yudhishthir, you have a very beautiful kingdom now. You have your brother's support. So why don't you extend your kingdom and become friends with your neighbors and create an alliance, yeah? And then you can perform a Surya Yagna. A Surya Yagna. So here what happens? Yudhishthir agrees to perform the yagna, but there were some hindrance over there. So that time, Lord Krishna says, there is only one person who is going to bring a problem for you, and that is Jarasandha. Yes, Jarasandha. Jarasandha was the father-in-law of Kans. And who was Kans? Lord Krishna's uncle. Now, when we were discussing the 5 avatars, I had told you about Jarasandha. So let me talk to you detailed now about Jarasandha. So Jarasandha was born, in 2 parts. You remember I told you? Yeah. So he was one person but with 2 powers because he was born half. You remember? So now what happens? To defeat Jarasandha was not easy because he had a powerful army. Yeah. So Lord Krishna told Yudhishthir that he has already got 99 kings to sacrifice, and if you are defeated, you will be the 100th, and then he will perform the sacrifice to become more powerful. Then nobody can stop him. Therefore, whatever was to be done was not in the battlefield but with the mind again, yeah. So it was decided that Krishna, Bhim and Arjun, they go to the kingdom of Magad. These guys just Brahmins. So the 3 went. At that time Jarasandha had finished his prayers and was coming out. So when he saw the Brahmins, he offered them that of what service can I be? So that time Krishna said that choose from us to fight. Now Jarasandha looked at them and said that you people are disguised as, you people look like Brahmins, but you are not actually Brahmins. So I accept your challenge, but tell me who you really are. So that time Krishna introduced and says, I'm Krishna, is Bhim, is Arjun. So choose your opponent. So Jarasandha laughed and said, I cannot fight with you, Krishna, because when I came to fight with you in Mathura, you ran away. So you are a coward. I don't need to fight with you. Then came Arjun and said, if I was in a battlefield, I would really choose you to fight with. But right now, this is not a battlefield, it's a one-to-one combat. So I will choose Bhim as my opponent and accept him in wrestling. So the next day, the match started. Now, boss, Bhim and Jarasandh came face to face. Now, what happened? They were very strong, and you know, Bhim was like, it is power, but whatever, it was not happening. So he looked at Krishna and said, "Now, what do I do with him? How do I kill him?" So that time, Krishna was holding a stick in his hand. He was holding a stick in his hand. So what did he do? He split the stick and threw. So Bhim understood what he had to do. He turned Jarasandh and split him into two pieces and threw them. But what happens after some time? The two parts of Jarasandh join together. Again, Bhim pulls Jarasandh into two parts and throws. Again, Jarasandh joined. So now, Bhim looked at Krishna and said, "Now what do I do?" This time, Krishna, the stick, split them and threw them in the opposite direction. So Bhim understood the gesture, and this is what he did. He pulled apart Jarasandh into two and threw them in the opposite direction. And that was the end of Jarasandh. After that, Bhim and Arjun freed everyone from the jail, those 99 kings. They also accepted Yudhishthir as alliance, and they became friends and gave him gifts and all that for their freedom, of course. So now Yudhishthir, by the time they returned, Yudhishthir now performed the H.R.E Year. Invitations were sent far and wide, even Hastinapur was invited. So the Pandavas came to Hastinapur, to Indraprastha, and when they saw Indraprastha, they were amazed, but they were also jealous of what the Pandavas had achieved in a short while. Now, Duryodhana was not pleased with all this. Now, when they all came, all the guests came, everyone was treated so nicely, and Draupadi took personal care of each and every guest invited. So this H.R.E Year was completed, and that time, you remember when we were talking about the avatar of Krishna? Yes, this is the time Krishna killed his nephew Shishupal, and then this Swayamvar, this H.R.E Year was completed, and then the Kauravas now, who had not accepted the Pandavas taking the portion of Hastinapur, they wanted back that portion back. Yeah. So now, that time, when the Kauravas went back to Hastinapur, a message was sent to Indraprastha asking Yudhishthir to come to Hastinapur to play dice. You know, game of dice? Yes, he was invited. Now, when he was in Indraprastha, Shakuni, the uncle of the Kauravas, had played the dice game with Yudhishthir and made Yudhishthir purposely to win the games. So Yudhishthir now had in his mind that I can play the dice game. So when Yudhishthir was invited to go to Hastinapur to play the dice game, he accepted and went. Now, the next video will be about the dice game and what had happened in the dice game. Till then, see you. Bye. Take care.